My resolution these past 2 years has been to work on my binge eating disorders and especially my out of control food cravings. Now, I had a little bit of a relapse earlier this week that could have jeopardized my job. What had happened was that I have regular meetings with my boss over Zoom, but the other day he called me outside of those hours and I just happened to be eating. I generally try to avoid distractions when I go to a meeting, so I usually try to schedule I only eat once a day, sometimes even less than that, and I try to schedule that outside of any conflicts, but he called out a schedule, so now I answered his call, but the whole time I was talking to him, my mouth was salivating like crazy, because I had already begun digging in, right? Had he called 5 minutes before I had planned to eat, it might have turned out very differently, right? Now, the problem is that I finished the conversation and I did okay with the conversation, but it was a big wake-up call that I'm not really in as much control as I thought I was. I still had work to do in this department in life. I've done a whole lot over the last 2 years, but I got to admit, I slip up from time to time. And so I decided to ramp up my fasting this past week. I did a 42-hour fast, kind of to punish myself for what had happened, because I realized how much of a close call I had. And I realized that with the current events going on still, right, I can't be juggling out of control eating like that when we might have to lock down again, we might have civil unrest on our hands. And then we have this mandate going on that might require us to problem solve our way through the situation. Right now I have to get testing every 3 days. And the last thing I want is to let food cravings punctuate everything that I need to do, right? Between my career, navigating the pandemic, potential civil disturbances and all that. Now, there is something else that I want to work on. So I went to the meeting with my boss. Now, you might say that I could have told my boss, this is not a good time to talk, and I call you back in like an hour. Sure, I could have done that. But I've had experiences where I did that and I lost my opportunity. And this is where my new goal comes into play. I need to know where I stand with things, right? In retrospect, now looking back at the meeting with my boss, yes, I could have done that, but I didn't know at that hour, right? Now, I got a little bit of a lesson. My boss had called me at 2 o'clock, and he might have been available to talk at 4 o'clock, but he would certainly prefer to talk at 2 o'clock so that at 4 o'clock he can go play golf or go do whatever he loves to do, right? So my point is that your opponent or whoever you're dealing with, your partner in a situation, is never going to let you know exactly where you stand in the situation, right? Because even though, let's say you go to buy a car, and the car dealer's asking for $20,000, he's never going to let you know he's going to sell it to you for $15,000, right? That's the point I wanted to make. It's up to you to know where you stand in that area in life, right? And so that's my new goal to work on. Now, this Christmas, I hope to travel back to Phoenix because, hate to make a long story short, I left a piece of myself there. And that kind of situation is full of knowing where you stand in the situation.